easy.
That's what she said.
Don't you dare.
Hi guys, so I decided to share my build with that you just saw the introduction to. Um, Recently I've been blasting last Epoch, as many of you might have as well, and I was a bit disappointed that there's no that many people playing the bow marksman. Everyone is like the melee build, detonating arrow, which is fine, but I personally don't like the melee marksman type of play, and I have always liked the archer types of play, both in Diablo 2, in D4 as well, usually in ARPGs. I play archers, So I decided to give it a try, and this was the lightning archer build that I came up with. So I don't want to spend much time talking about the build, so I'll try to go through it as fast as possible. So the first thing is the weapon. We're using the Gathering Fury. Now you don't need it with 4 LP, that's for sure. You can get it with 2 LP or with 3 LP. With 2 LP you can get it for like 0 gold. If you're in the merchant guild, you can get it for 0 gold. It drops relatively often if you're in the Circle of Fortune with 2 LP as well, sometimes even with 3 LP. I think because I played Circle of Fortune in the beginning of the cycle, and it dropped Gathering Fury with 3 LP. So it's not that hard to get this bow with 2 or 3 LP, and you don't need more than 3 LP, that's for sure. Don't buy the 4 LP, I'm telling you, you will waste a lot of money. It costs, I haven't checked it now, this one I bought very cheap at the beginning of the cycle when prices weren't sky high yet. So just buy the 3 LP and try to get the crit chance and increased bow attack speed. This has to be tier 7 for sure. So if you don't have this exalted, like with the tier 7 of the crit chance and the bow attack speed, and you're in the merchant guild, you will have to buy it. That's a bit expensive, like several millions. A good one would be several millions, and the difficult thing is to find that exalted bow with either free prefix slot or with crit multi. And if it's like tier 7 of the crit chance and bow attack speed, and there is a crit multi and you try to buy it from the market, that can go like 10 millions and above, so it might not be very cheap. But if you can get it with tier 6, should be relatively cheap, so tier 6 should work as well probably. And it drops actually, tier 6 of the crit chance and the bow attack speed drops not that like it's not an uber rare drop or something. So with the 3 OP you definitely need the crit chance and the crit multi, otherwise the build won't work. And the third stat is of your choice basically, but I would recommend you stun chance, because the marksman is very squishy. So the premise behind this build is that you keep the mobs around you as staggered and stunned as possible, so that they don't move, and when they don't move they can't kill you. So it's a lightning stun build, if you prefer to call it that way. So for the helmet I'm using Somnia. Again, you don't need it with 3 LP. 3 LP I bought this, it costs several millions, so, and the 2 LP is quite cheap. You don't need it really with 3 LP. This one, but the main stat that you need is increased health, and if you have endurance somewhere else on the gear, you can even get with 1 LP, as long as you get the increased health. But again, aim for tier 6 or 7. You can even go with 1 LP on this helm. Next is the Zeurios Hunt. This is the quiver that I'm using. Now that's the only quiver that you can use for this build, because the quivers, most of the quivers actually sucks. The unique quivers, I mean, but this one is the only one that's actually better than any exalted quiver if you can get it with 3 LP or 4. Now 4 is very expensive, it's not worth it. 3 is quite cheap, it's affordable, so you if you're in the merchant guild you can get it. So as you can see, most of the things are absolutely useless on this for this particular build, because we are using the explosive traps, yes, but it's converted to bow, and when it's converted to bow you're not using throwing attacks, and in order to proc the effects, the unique effects of this quiver, you need to use throwing and bow, so both bow attacks and throwing attacks, and we are not using throwing attacks at all. So like 90% of the quiver is absolutely useless, but what makes it useful is that you can get it with 3 LP, and there is a flat roll damage, which is the ball lightning damage, and it's the only unique quiver that actually gives you crit strike multiplier as implicit. There are no other unique quivers that give you crit strike multiplier, and crit strike multiplier is the best damage multiplier in the entire game. So if you can, you know, on the exalted you can get on exalted quiver you can get, if you buy it you can get exactly what you want, which is better than 90% of the unique quivers. But in this case, if you get it with 3 LP, you can actually get 3 stats from the exalted quiver that you want, and the bow lightning damage. The thing is that on the exalted quiver, the bow lightning damage and the increased lightning damage are both prefixes, and the crit strike chance is also a prefix. So the ideal situation is that you can have all 3 of them on the same quiver, and you cannot achieve this on exalted quiver, because the 3 of them, like the crit chance, the lightning damage, the percentage increased lightning damage, and the bow lightning damage, they all 3 are prefixes, and you can, on the exalted you can have only 2 prefixes. So if you get this as 2 or 3 LP, and you are able to slam the increased crit strike chance and the percentage increased lightning damage, this already makes the Zurios hunt better than any exalted quiver that you can get. So that's the reason why we use this quiver. And again, as you can see, it gives me 24 bow lightning damage, which is flat roll damage, and the bow gives us bow lightning damage as well. This flat roll damage is then further amplified by the percentage increased lightning damage on the quiver and on the rings. And then finally, for the amulet, I'm using Omnis. Now first you have to set up all your other gear before buying the Omnis, or like trying to get the Omnis if you're in the Circle of Fortune, because the thing is that you need to figure out what resistances you lack before you get the Omnis. Omnis should serve you to complement your defenses, like the resistances, so that you can have them maxed out, and you don't try to max out your resistances on the gear. On the gear you should focus on damage and possibly endurance threshold or dodge rating. These are the 3 best stats in defensive terms, beside the hybrid health. So hybrid, you should prioritize hybrid health as first, then increased lightning damage on the rings, and then as defensive. And here, yeah, this is the relic I'm using. It's not the best one. I can probably get a better one, but I didn't bother. But the best option would be to get or buy the tier 6 or 7 crit strike multi. And then the increased lightning damage should be tier 5, and try to get the implicit to be a crit strike chance as well. And the rest, the suffixes should be something defensive, like resistances that you lack, or endurance threshold, or percentage endurance, dodge rating, something like that. So on the gloves, the boots, and the armor, try to prioritize increased health or hybrid health. On the helmet as well, increased health. And also you need the armor to be with a skill to explosive trap. Now I know that the increased throwing damage does nothing in this case, but the point is that you need the skills to trap point. You need 3 of them. So 1 comes from the Omnis, 2 comes from the armor. The armor also gives me additional crit chance as implicit. It's additive, which is better than multiplicative. Like the increased percent crit chance works on this additive crit chance. So additive crit chance, like on the bow here. So for example, if I remove the bow, then you can see that I have 44 increased bow crit strike chance, and just with 10% additive I get like almost 50% or more than 50% crit chance, right? Because the additive crit chance is better than the percentage increased. Percentage increased, it basically increases the percentage of your base value. The additive crit chance is what gives you the base value. So once you have the base value, it goes for the raw bow damage as well. Once you get the base damage, then the percentage increased damage or crit chance works on the base that you already have. So yeah, that's about the gear. I will have the build link in the description, so you can check everything. So a few important points that I want to make is why do we need the points to the explosive trap? So it's because we take all of these nodes, right? We try to maximize, mainly because we try to maximize the number of traps. Now the problem with this build is that it lacks single target damage. At this level of corruption, which is I'm at corruption like over 500, and I don't think that this build can push past 600. It's not, the reason is not because you can't clear the mobs, you can clear the echoes, but when you get to the Orbis, as you saw, it takes a lot of time to kill them, because this build, in comparison to the melee build that converts the detonating arrow to melee attack, lacks single target damage, and I'll show you in a moment why that's the case. But anyway, for the explosive traps, you need 23 points to get all of this and to maximize the mana reduction, because the build lacks single target damage. Often you will have to, when you fight bosses and the Orbis, you will have to spam the skill, and then you want to spam it as much as possible when the opportunity arises, right? When it's casting something and you have time to actually hit the boss, you want to spam as much as possible, and you can spam more the less mana it costs you. And so with this we convert it to both lightning and cold, and then with this node we get additional traps, because it drops the non-converted trap and the converted traps, and then you want to maximize the mana reduction as well. So this overall maximizes the damage that we can deal to single targets, which again is not great compared to the melee build. So another important thing that I want to mention is for the detonating arrow. As you can see, we are not taking the fast shot, the arcing blast and the piercing thunder. That's because this is, first of all, this procs only when the detonating arrow actually explodes, right? Because it's on explosion. But now, if you are running this build, if you want to use the explosive traps that shoot detonating arrow with bow, you are bound to take this node, the mana arrow. And what this does is that it almost obliterates your chance to have explosions from the detonating arrow. I mean, it still procs relatively often, like you have explosions, it's not like they are non-existent. But compared to the melee build, that they don't need to take this, and that's the difference in the damage, right? They can guarantee 100% explosions from every single trap, every single arrow that comes from every trap. They explode, and that's a huge difference in damage, right? If you're using bow, you are not gonna have the same damage, not nearly as much damage as the dagger build that converts the detonating arrow to melee attack. But anyway, this is a bow build. I like the bow playstyle, so I'm fine with that. But yeah, that's the reason why we don't take these three nodes, because they are usually useful when you want to clear packs as fast as possible, packs of mobs, as fast as possible. That's when they are useful. But in our case, we want to, you can still clear it, no problem. The mobs, you can still clear them anyway, but you need to maximize the single target damage as much as possible, because that's what this build lacks. And this you do by taking weak spot and all of these nodes here that just gives you more single target damage. So if you're using bow, I played it, I tested it with these three nodes. They are pretty much useless because I really didn't notice significant difference in the clearance of packs of mobs when I took them and when I didn't take them, but the single target damage was significantly better with the weak spot and all of these nodes down here. So that's my recommendation. I'm also using Dark Quiver instead of Smoke Bomb because for me, Smoke Bomb does nothing really. I mean, it doesn't prevent you from death, right? You can shoot it into mobs. You can stay in it, but they can still hit you and kill you, right? And you staying in one place is very bad idea as a marksman. So Smoke Bomb to me is just absolutely useless skill. Maybe I am doing something wrong, I don't know, but really it's quite useless. This is much better because this is actually really helpful, because it gives you, with this node here, it gives you this shroud stacks, and this increases your dodge chance. You can actually, maybe you've seen even on the introduction that I managed to, some skill that would lower my HP by half or more than half from the Orbis just passed through me, and they did nothing because I managed to dodge them because of the Dust Shroud, of the Dust Shroud stacks, which gives you very high dodge chance, and also it increases your next bow attack by 100%. So that's very useful when you fight bosses. You shoot it, you try to evade and gather these feathers or arrows or whatever they are, and then you shoot. So you pick it, you shoot your traps, you pick the next one, you shoot your trap, and that's how you maximize the single target DPS. That's, in my opinion, this skill is much more useful than smoke bomb. And again, decoy and shift for survivability. So just one last thing, as you saw, the build is HP based build, it's not ward build. The reason for that is this node, the perfect aim. So what this node does is that it gives you crit multiplier and health on crit per stack, and you can have up to 5 stacks. So that means that you multiply this 15% and 15 health by 5. That's a lot of crit multi. And again, crit multi crit multi is the best damage multiplier in the game. So if you're not taking this node, you're losing a lot of damage. But on the other hand, if you take this node, then you can't go ward, because if you go ward build with this, what it does is that you will be critting every time. With, as you can see, I have like 100% crit chance, and what that means is that every time I shoot, I will get like quite a lot of health. And for the ward build, usually people use the exsanguinous armor, and the unique trait of that armor is that you lose health, and the amount of health that you lose, you gain it with as ward. And what this node here will do is that when you shoot and you crit and you gain health, you will lose your ward. So ward cannot work with this, because you just completely lose your ward and you just go back in health again. So that's why it's a health build, and if you use ward, then you have to sacrifice a lot of damage. Okay, so one last thing, I also tested this build in the arena, the endless arena. So you can see that I managed to get to rank 85 of all the marksmen. So this is just the marksman's class. The build I used for the arena was slightly different because I was still testing things. So I used also smoke bomb instead of the dark quiver, and again I'm telling you, smoke bomb is pretty useless. Dark quiver is way better, even in the arena. The new build that the link in the description is about is better. I tested it in the arena as well. Wow, I died stupidly at wave 205 because of one shot, but I didn't try since then. But it's much easier to get to wave 200 with the new build. So, and I'm not I don't want to play the arena right now or to try to push, but I am sure that if I push, I can get higher than 220 much easier with the new build than with the build that I used here, which is worse in my opinion. But yeah, I'm more eager to test another marksman build, which I'm currently doing. So I'll let you know about that as well when I'm done with it. And that's it.